Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio.
Hello, welcome to the Swerv Show.
What's up, folks?
All right, are we all on? Are we got all on?
I'm not
There
on.
we go. All right, congrats, Igor. Way to go.
What's
Testing.
up, Igor?
Now I'm on.
Testing. All right,
Okay.
y'all, it's May 8th, and so we are right in the season of May. Summer is almost here.
Summer is almost
It's coming.
here.
And everyone's here today, y'all.
Yay!
We are all back.
We're
together
back
again.
in the saddle
So
again.
let me say hello. My name is Jamil Fletcher. I'm the publisher of Swerv Magazine.
Hi, Jamil.
I want to thank everyone for coming. We've got our full cast. We've got Racine Pendarvis on the corner there.
Salutation.
And Racine, can we see you? Can you move them in?
I'm
There you go.
here.
Oh, there you go. Okay. And we got Tony Nelson's back.
Hola.
Can you smile for us? Look
Yes,
at it,
baby.
Come on, $1 million smile.
Baby, yes, God.
Literally.
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 We got, and of course, you already know who is graduating this weekend.
Yes, Saturday,
All right.
I walk across the
All
stage.
right. And you got so many accolades. I was
Yes.
like, I never heard of all these accolades.
I am highly decorated, baby. Yes, God. I also,
Accessorized.
really quickly, I want to give a shout out to my fraternity, Gamma Mu Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Today is Founders Day for us. We celebrate 20 years today. We were
Wow.
established this day in 1999.
Congrats.
So we are
All
officially
right.
20 years old today.
And didn't we talk about them?
Yes,
in our,
we
right.
were
in our March,
featured.
April issue.
Correct.
But yes,
We were
yes.
featured in the story about black gay Greeks.
All right,
Thank you,
y'all. And we
JJ.
got
Yes. Happy Founders Day.
We have a very, very special guest, a lady I've known for quite some time, who is a pillar of this city and around the country for a number of reasons. I mean, one, because of your occupation, what you do in your day life, your daytime, position with the city. You are the liaison, the LGBT liaison for D.C. Office of the Mayor. Is that correct?
It's close enough.
And then on top of that,
Director LGBTQ
Oh.
Affairs.
Yes, get it.
Director of
She said, "Don't get it
LGBTQ
twisted."
affairs.
Get it.
Don't forget the Q.
Don't forget the Q.
And then she's also the visionary behind Women in the Life. And that's a movement, publication, a number of things.
Yes, thank you for
And so,
having me.
thank you. Thank you for
We're
joining
happy to
us.
have you. Thank
We
you for
are
coming.
ecstatic to
And
have
we got to keep it moving because Sheila is always on a tight schedule. So she'd be like, okay, am I done?
Chop,
I got to
chop.
go.
No, I'm on your schedule tonight.
Chop,
Okay.
chop.
So we're going to talk about the great things that are happening with that. There's some archival stuff coming down the pike with it. And you still have a movement.
Yes.
Right.
It sort of took a
Come on, speak into the mic,
took
speak into the
a low level pause, and now it's back up.
Right. And you were doing a radio show. I mean, this woman does a little bit of everything.
Radio, magazine.
Right.
I'm going to say not a podcast yet, but
It's
you know,
come, but
I suspect
you
it's in
get
the
28
future.
hours. You're one of those that gets 28 out of the 24 hours. You get 28.
28.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
She
that.
has 28 hours.
All right.
So let's go into it, y'all. So of course, we have our I can't even get it out of my mouth. June issue, the cover. We're gonna debut it here, and kapow! Look at that, y'all. That is Rasan Patterson. He's got
it's
a
nice.
Yes, Rasan.
new album. He hasn't
nice.
had an album out, I think, maybe 12 years, maybe. It's been a while.
Has it been that long?
It's been a long time. Actually, we did a story on that
Yeah.
last album.
Yeah, that
It's
we
been
did.
so long.
Wow.
We did.
And this is great. It's a great project. It is a long story. It's a great story. He was so revealing in this interview. I can't wait for people to read it. Because, he's really kind of guarded typically and shy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he talked. I had to extend the pages because he talked so much.
Which is
Wow.
good though.
Oh, yeah.
He is really extremely shy. And it can come off as shady.
Yeah, it can.
And when I had an opportunity when I was with Yazara, they were on set together, and we went in the back, and he was very, very standoffish, and she was just like, "He's cool, just give him a second to warm up."
Yeah, I
He
hosted
smoked a J, and he was good.
I hosted an event with him years ago, and he was the featured guest, and he was very.
Yes,
This is
standoffish.
my section.
Really?
Don't come
Right.
this side.
Wow.
Of the room. Yeah.
But once he warms up, he's cool.
But he was so open with
He's
L.
an
Michael
artist.
Gibson.
He's
L.
He's an
Michael
artist. I
Gibson.
didn't take it personally.
About him.
And L. Michael Gibson wrote this piece, and this is the second piece he did, and he cited, he indicated, he drew attention to that. He said, "Wow, you're much more open than the previous time." So I can't wait. I can't wait for people
Good.
to check it out. So look out for that.
Congratulations. I can't
That's
wait to read
amazing.
that.
Thank you. It's going to be a great project. And of course, we talk
we are.
about Pride 2019 and World Pride and the whole 9 yards. So
We apologize
and
for the
Racine's
technical
got-
difficulties that we're having right
What
now.
technical difficulties that we have?
We have a
It's a
blurred
little-
screen.
The screens are blurred.
We have a blurred screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh. On Facebook. It's
On
a blurred
Facebook,
screen?
you're looking at it, and it's really blurred.
it's blurred.
Yeah.
From our
Okay.
standpoint, it is.
Well, we're going to correct that. Anyway, so let's keep it moving, y'all.
Keep it moving.
So, of course, we have advertising opportunities both within the
Always.
magazine and what? On the show.
On the show.
And what do we need from folks for
Budget.
that? A budget.
A budget.
Not a bucket of
Coin.
chicken, y'all.
A
A
budget. Not an EBT card.
And the more zeros, the better.
Not an IOU.
Not an IOU.
Sheila, can we get the DC
Not an
office
MOA.
to run a loop on something?
I DC government can't do it, of course, but you will have the support of Sheila Alexander Reid. Put it that way.
Bless the Lord.
Okay, that means support, and the more support, the more zeros, y'all. The more zeros.
Yes, the more
Yeah.
zeros.
I think there's a lot of value to this, and I think anybody out there who can support it should support it.
All right, I love
Thank
that.
you,
We
Sheila.
appreciate
We
that.
have to be the ones
And
to
no
tell our
amount is
story.
Amen.
too big or too small.
Or too small. We take the low-hanging fruit.
We have to be
also.
the ones to tell our stories. That's the word. Okay, so real
Thank
quickly,
you, Miss Mark.
let's
I
run through
appreciate that.
what's going on, yo. What's going on in our lives with me? Nothing's new. Just the
You have
regular.
a new position.
That new
I
gig?
do.
Tell us about your new
I don't.
position.
I don't
Do
talk
tell,
about
do
it much
tell.
because I like to separate everything. But I am a senior gift officer with the Smithsonian's National Museum for African American
History
History and
and
Culture.
Culture.
So
Awesome.
it's keeping me busy.
It's
keeping me very busy.
absolutely
It's going to
amazing.
keep you busy, but you can do it.
But
You
it's
got
gonna be
that.
fun.
It's gonna be
gonna
amazing.
I'm already like, let's do it, y'all.
Okay.
Yes,
We're starting a new
get those
campaign, and the museum is.
And it's an easy product to sell.
Well, it is and it isn't, but it's one thing to visit it as
Yeah.
as just a tourist. It is another
To work in it.
soak in it and absorb
Yeah.
it and live it. Speak with the curators.
That's amazing.
Learn the history. Meet the people. It's like going to a black college. Like
Wow.
it's like going to Howard. It really
Every
is.
day, right?
Every day.
Oh, wow.
It's
And I
like
can ima-
exceptional
That's
black
amazing.
people.
And I can
everywhere.
imagine the fact that you just make the point that it's easy to sell. That's what makes it so difficult to sell. It's just like when Obama is in office, it's difficult to raise money for
Right.
more liberal
Okay.
causes. You need an adversary to really boost those gifts
Gotcha.
up.
But what I will say is, it's unprecedented for the Smithsonian because they've raised more money quickly. They've gotten people who have never even considered
Yeah.
supporting the Smithsonian. It's a whole different ball game.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Wonderful.
Right.
Because
yeah.
we've never seen ourselves there.
That's right. That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
And
Right.
I think
And knowing that you're
but
there
I-
now, I know that you're going to work
but I
very
think-
hard to put in the LGBT exhibit.
Well, that's already
And the
there,
full
and we'll talk about
experience.
that. We'll
I
talk
think
about
that-
that.
That's a
But
Hollywood
I-
tested issue.
That's
I
there.
do
No,
think-
that's
I do
that's
think for
there.
the longest
Big Frida's
time
coming for a big
across-
event and everything.
I think for the longest
Wow.
time across everything, I think that people have slept that when black folks see themselves, that we'll support it because we haven't seen ourselves. And so, like you said, I think I'm a history buff. So, like, literally walking through there was overwhelming. I've gone like 3 times and I still haven't got completely through.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Because
that's the thing.
I want to stop and read the stories
Yes, that
and
takes
know.
several visits.
Yeah, so that's why it's still taking me more time to get through because some of the stories were just like mind blowing.
Oh, and I've seen it a couple times myself as a layman, but going through it as a staff member, I've seen so many nuances I didn't pick up. I was like, wow, I didn't see that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know.
And you'll share us.
Oh my
share with us
goodness.
the LGBT stuff.
Yes, we'll talk
Okay,
about that.
good.
Okay, so let's keep it
Congratulations.
moving.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
But I'm tired.
I can imagine.
I need more hours.
28. We'll give you 28.
So I need at least 30. Okay, so y'all, just to see what else is going on. Racine, what's going on with you? I know we got a flyer. I think we can do one down.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're all invited to the
Ta-da!
Ask Racine show.
I love the Ask
Our
Racine
monthly
show.
live variety program on first Wednesdays, March through November at the Human Rights Campaign building in Washington, D.C. We have different lineups each month, which include live music, interviews, and more. We also have vendors, artwork, food, a cash bar, and admission is free. Vendor tables are also free. Please email us upon request. For more information, please follow us on all forms of social media. Visit AskRacine.com, or you can follow me personally, or just simply put in RAYCEEN, and that's June 5th at HRC.
And I see you got Carolyn Malachi, who's one of my favorite artists.
Grammy
We
nominated.
got to get her on
Carolyn
the show.
Malachi.
We've shown her
Oh,
videos.
I love her.
You know.
You have another image, I believe.
Well, I don't have the other one.
We sent you to.
It's June 24th. We're going to promote that next week.
I get so much shade, and
But we
I'm
love you.
holding you on that. My people sent you too. You
I know
on the
they
show
did. I know
one.
they did. But I mean, time.
No.
Come on, let's keep moving.
The subtle shade. Bam.
That's not shade.
Bam.
That's
You
not
sent.
shade.
We sent 2.
I
I'm
know.
stick you on that.
We sent you one for the
No,
next week.
you agreed to show both. I won't be here next week.
But we'll
I
show.
could,
But
I
we're
could
gonna
be
show next-
dead. You know, people are dying.
Oh my goodness.
Now you've done it.
But we're gonna show
I
it next week.
can't.
Tony, what's going on with you? And welcome back.
Thank you. I'm back after a 3-week excursion in South America. It was lovely,
Yes.
but it's nice to be back. But busy. We got Pride weekend coming up, and I think I'm booked for like 7 events for Pride weekend.
And I didn't bring anything around your posting. I mean your honor, but I did see something on the website for Capital Pride.
Yes,
identified you as one of the heroes.
Yes,
Congratulations!
come on,
Tony.
Thank you so much. We have the
We're
Pride.
so proud of you.
We have the Pride events coming up. We also, in one of those Pride events, I'm doing the Darryl Wilson stages and stuff like that, and I'll be at Ziegfeld's with Monet Exchange from RuPaul's Drag Race on the Friday of Pride and several other events. Also, don't forget we have Strong J's Lipstick Review with Maxine Blue. That's going to be on Sunday. I have to say that at Mr. Henry's. That's one of my favorite events that I do. And moving from Pride, we're going to be going into the Capital Pride Gala, which is coming up on May 31st.
May 31st.
And I have to admit, I have to say one thing, and she's on right now. I've been doing Miss Bessie Mark's birthday party in Petersburg, Virginia for the last, I think, 10 years now. And she is one of my favorite people. And she's online watching us now, and I'll be back this year during her birthday event. So just check me out on Facebook, or if you want to follow me or come along with me. I love company, and I'm happy to have each and every one of you.
Tony, you busy.
I am busy. I'm getting old.
You are truly earned that Capital Pride.
Real quickly,
Thank
can you let us know what's going on with you besides your graduation this weekend?
That's all that we need to talk about.
That's it.
Maybe it's over until the fall. Again, my graduation is this Saturday, 10 a.m. at the Convention Center. Our guest speaker is Auntie Maxine.
I saw that.
Yes, and we'll be giving an honorary doctorate to Reverend Jesse Jackson. So it's going to be high security. I have tickets for you guys too, by the way.
I don't know if I can make it.
I wish I could
Mother's
be
Day. I
there.
might
I
go
know.
for Mother's Day. So
but I have tickets in case.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, so it's going to be an amazing event. And again, I want to shout out my fraternity for our 20-year anniversary today.
Congratulations.
Founders Day for Gamma Mu Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay, great. All right,
Could I add that we are now entering the beginning of Pride season, and I just like to say that that Youth Pride was last week, and I hosted that with Private Tales, and it was an honor to host that with Private Tales last week in the heart of DuPont Circle. And it's so important we celebrate our young LGBTQI, and it's so important. And also this Friday will be the Silver Pride sponsored by Whitman Walker, and I am the host at Whitman Walker, sponsors it, and it will be at HRC Friday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. It is free, and it's celebrating all of our LGBT seniors over 60 and plus.
All right. Good deal. All right, y'all. So we got to move fast so we can catch up. All right. So some news. We got some news. One item I would mention, Caster Semenya. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's the Olympic 800-meter runner out of South Africa. She lost her appeal. You know, the internet, IAAF, they're forcing her to take to take drugs to suppress the level of testosterone because
The natural level
that she has.
Are you
because
serious?
she's winning too much and she's over compensated in terms of the level of testosterone, so they're saying it's not fair.
That's a hot mess.
Yeah. So she lost that appeal, so she's got to take medication. So that's a major story. I tell you.
What I don't know. What's the end game? They trying to balance it out.
Right. They feel that she's got too much testosterone to be a woman.
Like
right.
a man in a woman's sport.
Exactly.
But it's natural.
Exactly.
Right. It's natural. Right.
It would be different if it was an artificial situation. That baby's born with it.
Right.
I don't know.
But
I don't know how I
one-
feel about that.
Favor ain't fair.
It's sad.
Favor ain't
It's
fair.
sad, but it's
Jesus said, "I'm gonna give you a little extra that."
I'm a little confused.
But you know what it does? It draws attention to what gender means in our society, and how we define it.
So what they want her to run track with the boys?
No, they want her to take.
to suppress the level of testosterone in her body so she can, I guess, so to make it fair for the other
women. That's right.
which is wrong on so many levels.
So
in my
many.
opinion.
I would like
Right.
to hear what some of the other women have to say about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to throw that out there. So let's keep it moving, y'all. All right. So that's one thing. Then, of course, we had major wins for some black beauty queens. So,
Thank you.
Kapow, do we have that?
Sure,
Okay. So, you know,
Look
this
at
is the
me.
first time in history that Miss America, Miss USA, because the young lady from North Carolina won Miss USA,
Here we go.
and
Thank
Miss in Miss Teen USA
Right.
are
All
all
black.
African American. On top of that,
We have Miss International Queen Giselle Harvey Royale.
in the bottom
First
right,
one. That's the first one.
She's the very first African American or woman first African American to win the title of Miss International Queen.
and then the other was
and you have Stasha Sanchez, who is Miss Continental.
Right.
So
right.
we have 5 black queens who are turning it.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Don't forget,
Girl magic.
Black girl magic.
and don't
Yes.
forget, reigning for 15 years straight is Miss What the Fuck. She's still the black queen, and she's reigning, and
she will not
and
relinquish
that
that
speaks
title.
for itself.
Well,
I mean,
say
15
that
years
on the air?
run. Oh, I just did.
Yeah. But we got a running joke because I'm like, Tony, how in the world are you going to hold the title for 15 years?
It just is what it is.
Because it is what it
and
is.
then nobody's brave enough to step
Cheating.
up.
And ain't no
'cause you
hoe
cheating.
coming for it.
Because you're cheating, and we're going to do a documentary about that.
Ain't no hoe coming for that.
Okay, all right, so let's keep it moving. We're gonna go to what's hot, y'all, because the Met Gala happened, and there were some fabulous moments from it. Can we come up with some? Can we show some of those?
Which ones?
Fabulosity.
Go to the ones I sent Igor.
Yeah, go to those first. And well, of course, there
Billy
is
Porter.
who?
Billy Porter.
Wow.
Everybody loved that.
Wow.
It wasn't one of my favorites.
Wait a minute, you didn't think Billy was?
It was the entrance.
It was
back,
the
go
entrance.
back.
It was all about the entrance.
Can we
Everybody
go back
loved
to
it. It was one of my favorites. The entrance
The
was
entrance was grand
over,
prize.
but when she got off the float, I was kind of.
It was very much, Grace Jones, Boomerang,
It's
Egyptian.
inspiration.
It was those boots that she had on. I was like, I was
I
not
wasn't
using
feeling the
those
boots
boots. I was like,
either.
those boots you got.
Oh, I didn't see the full boots.
Yeah, the boots was wrong.
There's another picture. I think no. I don't
Well,
think
anyway, who else? We had
Okay,
Lena.
so this is Lena. So this, I wanted to talk about this really quickly. So a lot of people, like at first I was like,
It's very plain.
I got my life off the back. So this guy right here, his name is, I'm about to tell you in a few seconds. His name is Pyre Moss. He is the designer for both suits. So hers is a tribute to black drag queens. And his is a tribute to Nipsey Russell. What is
Nipsey
amazing,
Hussle?
Nipsey Hussle, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What is amazing about this is the details. So, Igor, there's another shot of the pinstripes close up. Can you pull that
I
up?
can see it. Oh wow. Okay.
What's in the pinstripes?
The pinstripes for hers are lyrics to "I Will Survive"
Oh,
Yeah.
stop!
I'm
Stop!
coming
Come on, Lena.
by Diana Ross and Gloria Gaynor. His are the lyrics to Nipsey Hussle's song. So the slogan on the back was one of Nipsey Hussle's concepts about taking your money, reinvesting into your community.
Gotcha.
Very
Yeah,
good.
that's
And
powerful.
the buttons, I don't have a close up of the buttons, but all of his buttons are different pictures of Nipsey Russell. Nipsey Hussle.
Hustle.
And all of hers are pictures of black female icons.
Oh wow!
Oh, wow.
Musical
Okay.
icons.
What
So-
you say on the back?
Black
Black-
drag queens invented camp.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, let's keep it
So
moving.
I got
What,
my
what
life
else?
up there.
What else we got from that? What else we got?
Yes.
And
Janelle
that
Monáe.
was a favorite from a lot of people. For a
Baby.
lot of people.
That eye blinked.
I mean, the
was sick, man.
theme of camp was just so wide open.
It was.
I mean, what is it? What's camp?
Well, they actually gave a definition of it.
Okay, but we don't have to go
We don't
into
have
it.
to
Well, I would
definition.
just say that she stuck to her true style. She's into black and white, and she's always sort of pushing the envelope. So she did that.
I loved it.
Oh my
I loved
goodness!
it. I thought it was
Yeah.
memorable. And I love that I love the hats. I love
Yeah,
that the
multiple
eye-
hats. Come on now.
I love
Well,
that
she
Well,
looked
she definitely did the theme. Some people I just
Did
they just
not
were not
stick
in
to
theme.
theme.
I like Kim Kardashian. They
And
can say what they
J-Lo.
want. You were not in theme.
Girl.
Just go sit down.
But she
All
looks
of 'em.
gorgeous either way. Okay, what else we
She
got?
wasn't in theme.
And let's-
She was
let's-
dripping.
Oh,
This was grand prize,
this is the girl.
baby.
This is the girl. Racine,
Wow.
Racine, what do you think about Cardi B?
Wow.
It was over.
Grand prize.
Grand prize.
Miss Cardi B.
Grandpa.
Went
was-
across the board.
She broke it up.
The game was over. Everyone should have left the building. And when she came
it
up
left-
there,
She was
her
last.
entrance was everything.
She came as
And
the
they
finale.
showed it once where they were holding it like there it is behind
That-
her like
yes,
that.
That was
baby.
the
Right.
over
I
picture.
mean, come on.
That's
That
his
picture
life.
was everything.
designed by the great Tom Brown.
Oh really?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Oh
Cardi.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yes.
Oh, Nicki Minaj looked real mad behind
Baby.
her. She was like,
Oh, let's
Girl.
not do that.
Well,
Let's not.
she really
feed-
did.
I
She
mean,
did.
look mad.
No, she didn't. There's an interview. If you go to my Facebook page, if you follow my Facebook page, there's an interview that she gave on the red carpet where she pretty much threw the designer under the bus.
Who did?
She
Her
was like,
designer?
oh,
Or Cardi B's
Who?
designer?
Nikki?
yes.
Oh.
She was given. This was his interpretation.
But you
of
wore
camp.
it, girl.
And what everybody kept saying is, girl, all you had to do is go into your archive of the old stuff you used to do, because your career was built on camp. Girl, she used to come up with all kinds of crazy stuff.
Anyway, enough
Whatever.
of them. Okay.
She better.
All right. So let's keep it moving. Real quick, we got the Adoti retreat. That's number 13. That's coming up in July. Do we have that, Igor? That's what's hot. And that's a great male bonding
I wanna go to this.
organization and retreat happening July 17th through the 21st. And we had Lamar on a couple weeks ago to talk about that in great detail. One other thing we have, the Swerve Model Contest finalists. I haven't even shown this to anyone else. We have, 7 males and 3 females, and we'll be pushing this out on the magazine, on the website. We have voting ends for the finalists on July 17th or 15th, one or the other. So as you see, we have a plethora, all sizes, all shapes, complexions, you name it, from all over the country. And so
you got the male and female.
Male and female
binary, though.
presenting.
Can you give me a non-binary
but
person in there?
it's the first year.
All right.
So we got male and female presenting. That's
Okay.
how we kept that open.
All
so
right,
so
I'll let you have a pass.
so we'll work on that. You're going to consult us
Yes,
on the
I'll help
contest
you with
for next
that.
year.
I'll help you with
Right.
that.
All right. Okay, and then so let's talk. Let's go and talk about our guest, y'all, because we want to spend some time with this great lady right here. So Sheila, as I said, she wears many hats, but one of her passions, of course, is the Women in the Life movement. So let her tell us about that.
Well, it's funny that you describe it as a movement.
I feel it's a movement.
Well, it started off as just wanting to have a way to have some safe spaces for me and several friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the early '90s, it was a very different sort of.
Come on, speak to the mic.
It was a very different sort of. It was a very high level hostility towards the LGBTQ community, much like today. But just to give you sort of like a rollback of what was going on in 1993, you know, we had no rights. Homophobia was rampant. HIV and AIDS was rampant. Needle exchange was not allowed in D.C., so that was problematic. Bill Clinton was president. World Trade Center bombing happened. So all of these things were occurring, and there was nobody telling our story or our reaction to these things from our perspective.
Right.
So it first started off with events and safe spaces, and then it sort of segued into having a magazine to distribute at these events. So then I started Women Life magazine.
Tell us about the magazine. I mean,
Sure.
because the thought of just starting a magazine it's a challenge.
Well, I happened to work at Washington City Paper at the time, so I had access to graphic artists, and some friends were very enthusiastic writers. So I just said, please, if you're into sports, can you write about sports? I had another columnist who was into relationships, another friend, and so I said, could you be our relationship columnist? And I had lesbians or just almost naturally poets. So I had so many.
Yes, poetry is a real thing.
Poetry is
The
big
women with the
in my
ladies.
community. So I had a lot of poetry. And that also segued into the next thing, which was open mic poetry. But just to go back to the magazine for a minute, you know, The Blade was around. Metro Weekly came out the same year as Women in Life magazine.
Oh, I didn't
but
know that.
really, we did not see ourselves in either one of those. And no shade to them. I'm very supportive of both of those publications. But there was nothing being told from the black lesbian perspective.
Sure.
And so that's what I did. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was really groundbreaking. And it wasn't. And there were others before me. Let me be clear.
Really?
And there are others doing it around the country. Yes.
But not at that level, I would imagine.
Venus magazine that was out there.
right,
There's
right.
a magazine called Ashe out in California. And so there were several others, but because there was no social media, we had to like create our own network.
Right.
And so that's what we did, and that's what the magazine tapped into. That's what the events tapped into, and that's how we sort of became this brand. And then after the death of my good friend and mentor Wanda Alston, we segued into having a nonprofit because Wanda was always telling me, Sheila, you do these great parties, you got all these women following you, but what are you doing with all of that sort of power. And I said, well, I'm having parties, I got a magazine, I got an open mic, and I got a full-time job.
Right.
And, she was adamant that's not enough. So once she died and did not have a will, and there was a lot of controversy about whose stuff was in the house.
Oh, my God, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. So a family came in and totally dishonored her partner. Oh. And we weren't allowed to use the word lesbian at her funeral. And her title was GLBT liaison.
I thought they mentioned lesbian at her funeral.
Well, we weren't supposed to.
Right.
And it wasn't in the program, and there was a huge strife in the community about it because half of us said Wanda is rolling over in her grave if you don't say that she was a lesbian. And the other half was saying the family was going to take the body back to Virginia if you do say something. So I lost. I was on the side of let them take the body back. We are not going to put Wanda back in the closet. But the side who said we should honor her, however the family needs to honor her. So they won out. We had this huge sort of high-level funeral at All Souls Church.
I remember.
Every
I was
council
there.
member was there. The mayor was there.
The mayor was
spoke.
there, right.
Yeah.
However, she was in the closet at that service.
Me.
So there was a huge rift, and after that, we came together to heal and grieve. And out of that came the nonprofit of Women in Life. I was talking to Donna Payne, who was at HRC at the time. I said,
Hey, Donna.
Somebody should have a
Hey, Donna.
program that tells people how to protect themselves and protect their partners, because this is ridiculous. And she said, well, Sheila, why don't you do it?
That's
So
right.
be careful what you ask for. So I said, you're right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start a nonprofit like Wanda wanted me to do a little bit more. I'm going to do a little bit more. And the first program is going to be called Wanda's Will.
Wow.
And we're going to bring
wow.
in some pro bono attorneys to talk about the importance of having a will.
Are you still doing that?
No, but you know what? It may be time to bring it back.
I
It
agree.
is.
The thing about
That
it
happens in our
was
community.
We didn't have marriage
amongst
It
men.
still
equality.
happens.
You couldn't have a spouse, but now you can.
Right.
And so
Right.
there are a lot more legal sort of rights that we have now. But, we are under attack constantly, and they're being rolled back slowly but surely. So there may be some reason to bring that back, because a lot of people are not married and still have a partner that may or may not be recognized if something happens to their
Sure.
significant other.
Wow.
So the magazine, and then the organization, and then what? Then what else happens after that?
Well, right now it's interesting you say that. The Women in Life sort of had a natural sort of a passing the baton to the next generation of events, the next generation of promoters. But when I went to Creating Change,
And that's
when
the National LGBT Task Force event they do every year.
it's a LGBT leaders conference, and it was held in Philadelphia at the same time. Mr. Trump was inaugurated. I had to leave town. I couldn't be in D.C. during that, and I just could not. And so I went to Philadelphia, and Reverend Barber spoke.
Okay.
He was like the opening keynote, and he said, don't try to be everything to everybody. You stay in your own backyard, stay in your own sphere of influence, and make a change there, have impact there. And so that
Smart man.
So, and I was already director of LGBTQ affairs. So, to my mind, I was already having impact on the entire community. But having this person in the White House really sort of moved me to say that once again, it was like Wanda in my ear, Sheila, you need to do more. So I went back and I talked to my former board, and I said, is it possible that we can get back together, and can we reactivate Women in the Life Association, because the need is here once again. So you never rest on your laurels.
That's
Never.
right.
And I will say that all of that propelled me to where I am now in the mayor's office, and it is my job, I feel, to make sure that the entire LGBTQ community in the District of Columbia is safe and protected. Their rights are enforced, and that is sort of where I am now, and that is all because of what Wanda Austin, I feel, is always pushing me on the back to do more.
Yeah, I remember Wanda so vividly. I know many of you have
I went
experiences with
to
Wanda.
Nova State with Wanda.
That's
also.
right.
Oh, that's
right.
right.
Sure did.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, she was short but feisty.
Yeah.
Yes,
She was
she
very
was.
feisty.
Spitfire.
She did not
Firecracker.
take no for an answer.
Baby.
So the fact that I now have her position.
Isn't that
And
odd?
the
Because
fact-
she
Yes.
Wow.
she inaugurated that position,
She-
right? She was the first person in that position.
Now there's some question about that.
Uh-oh.
As to who was first. But I know that she had it in the Mayor Anthony Williams administration.
Right.
And I know that she was killed while she had that position.
Yes,
Right.
she was.
I remember
And
that.
so for me, so many years later to come and have that position and to try to step into a small part of her footsteps is just humbling for me.
Well,
And
you're
so-
growing. You're growing those
Right,
footsteps
right.
in that
Well,
position
thank
for
you.
sure.
I appreciate that.
And
So
probably thanks to you, DC is really like I call DC the gay
Yeah.
capital of the
it
country.
is
It
a
is.
case. It's not thanks to me. It's thanks to a lot of people.
No, but
before me.
but it
And
takes
Mayor Bowser.
it does take a leader, and we thank you.
Yeah.
We thank you for the
Right.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
We thank you
Appreciate
for the work that you do,
I appreciate
and
that.
you're very visible,
Very.
like very visible. It's not like, oh yeah, I got this position and I'm over here.
No,
over
no.
here.
I try to stay out
Oh,
there
they know
because
who you
everybody
are.
needs to know that the office exists in order to access all the resources.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so many other agencies are out there, and we're most people don't even know that we're there unless they come, come
Right.
to an event.
Exactly.
Or you look on a website, or you need something, and that's okay. A lot of times we're going to be at the forefront if there's some homeless LGBTQ youth issues.
Yeah.
If there's a transgender woman of color having a safety issue. But there's also a time to step up if there's a resident being discriminated against at work, if there's something where you haven't been being discriminated against in housing
Right.
or employment. So these things are sort of what we do on a regular basis, and we don't want to do it in a vacuum.
Right.
So shows like this give me the opportunity to come out and talk about what I do because it's for everybody. If you're a DC resident, you should be calling me if you need something. 'Cause
Y'all
that's my
heard
job.
that, right? We're
How
gonna
would
post
you-
her info.
How can they
Yes.
put the number out?
202 442-5143.
Can someone do that?
Call-
Can someone do that?
How would you advise people in other cities to access assistance like we have here? Because every city is not as
They're not
Um,
DC.
as
We are very
progressive
liberal.
as DC is. So say for instance, if you were in, I don't want to typecast anybody, but
Maybe
Alabama
the
or
South or something.
Yeah.
So what I watched over the course of time, and what I was, blessed to be able to participate in, is watching the LGBTQ community sort of organize itself,
Right.
and go from council member to council member to council member, to ANC to ANC and ANC, and just very small steps to say we want you to support us,
Okay.
and we want you to support us vocally and visibly, and
Wow.
if you don't, we won't vote for you.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And we did that with each council member until we became such a force. You had to support us, or we were a very vocal negative force if you did not support us. And so slowly but surely, we were able to bring everybody to our side because they all wanted to be elected.
I think, but I
And wait a minute, marriage equality came around, and we tried to get everybody on the council, and all but 2 people supported us. Councilmember Alexander did not support us, and Councilmember Barry at the time didn't support us.
Alexander?
However, it passed anyway, and later they evolved and came on board. But I'm just saying.
Barry? Wow.
Yes, and that was interesting
but
because
that was
Because of
a
the
whole-
churches,
he was
the
a
churches in
supporter.
Southeast.
But
It's one of the
no,
things
he
he
was a supporter, but it came down to some coins from the church.
And
That's
it
what
was
that
about
I remember
marriage.
that.
The
Yeah,
religious
it was
people
about
got to
yes, the
him.
religious people got to. I never forgot that because
Yeah,
I was
some
so
people-
disappointed
yeah,
in him.
some people held
'cause
that
he
against
sold
him,
out-
but I
he
mean-
sold out for that.
And think about President Obama. He evolved on the marriage equality
Sure,
thing.
sure.
So I give people a
Yeah.
pass.
Oh yeah.
Some come sooner than later. Some come later than sooner. But I think the fact that everybody came on board, and then from the council, you usually get somebody who's elected mayor, right? So that's how it works. You start,
Right,
you start,
right.
you start on a smaller level, knowing that these people are going to keep rising, and they should be taking you with them. So then, when you have a council member who supports you, and then they become mayor, well, then it's very easy to have access to these people regarding policy, regarding protections, regarding rights and responsibilities, and that's how we got to be where we are now.
I think it's important that people understand that there's power in numbers. And I don't think that people understand the power that they
Well, that
have when they
critical
come
mass.
together as a collective. Because, like, as you said, it's like if you don't support us, we're going to rise up and you're going to hear about it, and we're
it
going to
has
be very vocal.
And you have to cast a wide net.
Right.
It can't just be like the white LGBTQ people. You really have to make sure that you have everybody on board. I will say this. Wanda also, when she was alive, she invited me, and I use that word really loosely. She berated me into coming into to Florida to the Save Dade campaign that the task force was working on, because all those gay people were working in Miami, partying up in South Beach, not realizing they were part of Dade County, which was very homophobic. And so Dade County was voting to make it legal to discriminate against the LGBTQ community. and it was so white-centered that they had to import black people to come down there to talk to the black people in Dade County to say this is discrimination. Please don't support it.
Wow.
Vote no en 14. I was going knocking on doors, talking to Cuban families, talking to black families, saying vote no en 14. Vote no on number 14, because that's what happens when you don't cast a wide net. When you're in your own little vacuum, thinking that you got it made, not realizing you're part of a bigger picture that has
Critical
control.
mass.
And so we were able to make sure that they voted no. But that that told me a lot about how you really know your surroundings and make sure you're reaching out to everybody around you, because you're going to need them.
Wow.
I don't want time to pass before we talk in detail about this archive project
Yes.
that you're taking on with Women in the Life.
So the magazine has been around since late 1993, early 1994. So it's over 25 years. So we're celebrating the 25th anniversary this year,
Wow.
DC Pride, DC Black Pride.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I went back and pulled them out of the basement, all of those issues, and we counted. We published 90 issues between 1993 and 2003.
Wow.
That's a lot.
90 issues.
And you had them all?
And I had them all. Well, most of them. There's maybe one missing. I had the cover of it, but when I opened it, there was just a front and back. But so we're going to find that. But yes, the point is, that was a lot of work.
I'm sure.
And women's magazines were not supported like men's magazines, because they said HIV and AIDS was not an issue in the lesbian community, so we didn't get those pharmaceutical dollars.
Right. And nobody else has value for the demographics.
Exactly.
That's just, I mean,
so
and
it
I
was a
talk
struggle.
about that.
No, it was a 10-year struggle.
Right.
And so to say, and we talked about when Phyllis Hyman killed herself. We talked about when Oprah's Beloved came out. So you're talking about all these really milestone events from a black lesbian perspective. So when I went back and was pulling them out, because the DC Public Library has agreed to digitize them free of charge.
Oh, wow.
Really?
So scholars and students all over the world can see them and see what's inside
Amazing.
and see this
Congratulations.
perspective. So
That's amazing.
So yeah, we just gave them to them yesterday.
That is
Okay,
amazing.
congrats.
And we're going to have an archive pop-up gallery at Black Pride.
Wow.
We'll show the memorabilia. There's a cover right there. Yeah.
Did we get the cover image? Here, I'm going to get it.
You had one up on the screen. So we're going to have stuff like that, T-shirts, hats, anything that anybody had. And we also have somebody, thank you, from the public library coming to talk about the importance of telling your story and having a collection. So just so you know, this cover was at a party at Hung Jury. If anybody remembers Onyx.
Yes, of
I
course.
remember Onyx.
Woo, they were fierce. So they performed at Hung Jury. And that was, I'm going to say, a very significant sort of tipping point in women's life. And we were on our way to being, a household name, a brand. But when Onyx performed at our party at Hung Jury, that just blew it away. So I'm really proud of that particular issue, because that captures a moment in time. Wow. And so Friday night, we're going to have an open mic, and we're going to have storytelling in this archive pop-up gallery. You may see Miss Racine Pendarvis as part of that.
Are you hosting, Racine?
I will be a special guest.
You'll be a special guest.
You're doing a number?
She's a woman in the life. Why not?
There you go. And then Saturdays, there's going to be a big epic dance party at DC Black Pride. So we're excited just to come together and sort of bring that sense of community back. I'm really excited about that.
And you're at the forefront of that. I know people are doing it with, who's the Black Lesbians United? I know they do something
in
California.
Blue. Oh, yeah.
Right, Blue. I know, but there's a movement
there's
there.
There's Nia, there's Blue.
But there's a need, too. There's a
sure
void.
Is. There really is, because so many people think that lesbians have no value. And the next generation wants to be called queer, so lesbians are kind of facing erasure in their minds.
Wow.
And so I'm like, wait a minute, we're going to keep the L word. We can add the Q, but we're going to keep the L as well. So that's just sort of like a generational shift. And my point is, why can't we have both?
So what do you think about movements like, say, BYP 100? That's sort of led by a feminist, black feminist queer
serious
movement.
LGBT input there.
Right, yeah.
I think that's great. I've spoken to them many times, and I'm very impressed when I speak with them, because I think about where I was when I was in my 20s. I wasn't as politically astute. I wasn't woke. And I mean, these young people are bringing it, and they're going to really, they're going to be the next generation, and they're going to be able to propel us forward.
Sure,
And
sure.
they're willing to read, they're willing to listen, they do their research, and so we just want to make sure that they have our history.
Wow. I think, adding to that, I think it's so important that people don't understand the importance of when you come into spaces that are so affirming, such as the Women in Life. One thing I've always loved about it, it was so inviting to everyone. Even though it was a female centered environment, they welcomed the children, the gays, the trans. Everybody was so welcome to party and celebrate. And it just was like a feeling of like spaces that are no longer like people, the place like the clubhouse and areas of the buck stops
Hung
here
jury
and the
tracks.
hung jury and tracks. Those feelings of every time you came to a woman in the life party, it was like a capsulated experience of everything rolled up and meshed together.
It was for me. It felt like coming home, and that's what I'm looking forward to this Memorial Day weekend, because I really missed that, and I didn't realize that. One of the other things that Women Life did was at one point in that period I was single, and I came back out, and I realized that I was having a hard time finding a date, so I started a dating app.
That's a whole nother show.
Yes, called Soul Links.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. You sure did.
So,
what was it called?
Sure did.
Soul Links. It was a predecessor of Tinder.
How about that?
So,
and you also have the Women in Life meetup.
The meetup, we
You brought that back. No, you brought that back. Now
I did. Yeah, we started back.
Yeah, and I love it. When do you meet so people should know?
So we were doing it first Fridays, but we have stopped temporarily just because a lot of people, we don't want to have our events be so focused on alcohol.
Oh.
So there was like a first Friday happy hour. So we're thinking about, do we go to open mic? How do we do things that are not just solely focused in a bar?
Oh, gotcha.
So we're sort of reevaluating.
Good deal. That makes sense. Well, while we got you here, and this year marks World Pride is finally coming to America. It's coming to New York. What about the whole Pride movement? What are your thoughts on that? And where does it stand in advancing LGBT rights and equality?
Well, I've been disappointed in what I've seen thus far as far as celebrations that are tying us to the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall.
You mean around the country or locally or
everywhere? I've seen the Stonewall Uprising celebrations and who's going to be at them and who's going to be lifted up, because I don't see enough of us.
Sure.
And as if we were not there for those 50 years.
And we were there. The movie.
We were there.
The movie, they created a white male figure
For what?
to be as the central point. The movie, they did a big budget film on Stonewall 50.
Harvey Milk? Who was it?
No. Somebody, and they created this white male character that they had at the center of it.
Yeah.
And they killed that movie. I mean,
Right.
They killed it
the
because
activists killed that
And
movie.
they had the central character played as a drag queen and not a transsexual. It was,
Transgender women.
it was a
so we were
dishonor
at the
to-
forefront, but we we were always pushed to the back. And,
Right.
and I'm very proud to the fact that they're celebrating this. But I just would like to see us be more front and center.
I think
just step over and let us step next year. I'm not saying step back, although
Right.
some people are. I'm just
Some
saying
people should step back.
I'm just saying at least step over.
Yeah.
I think it's so important that I salute Jose Gutierrez.
Yes.
Who is making sure
And Jose's
that
going to come join us on the
he's
show,
going to
too.
be coming. He just reached out to you and me, and he'll be here May 15th to talk about
Absolutely.
Latinx Pride. But he is doing a wonderful panel discussion, and I'm also leading that, where he is bringing
You're
black.
everywhere.
I sure
Queen
am.
of the shameless plug.
I am.
The
May
queen.
20th, that Monday, where
You
he's
better get
bringing black and brown people to talk about the importance of the Stonewall and the inclusion of black and brown
Come
people.
on, Jose.
And this is what
So-
day?
Yes, we
What
were
date is
there.
that?
And we were there, and we were queer, and we are part of it, and making sure that black and brown queer people are really our focus on what we did in that movement and how that movement became the Pride celebration.
Yes.
So it's so important that people such as Sheila, Jose, and so many others who are keeping the knowledge, the Rainbow History Project, making sure that our stories are
He's
being
also
told.
Latino History Project.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yes,
it's so
yeah.
important. It's so important.
And what
Because
date
we're
is
at
that,
the
Racine?
Go ahead. What's the
May
date?
20th. I'll shoot it out.
Okay.
When I return, hopefully.
And he's going to be.
Shade.
Ooh, that was shade. And he's going
I'll
to be
come
on the
back.
show on the 15th.
I
so
feel
we'll get a
trees
chance to
planted
talk
on that
to
side of the studio.
Yes.
And he'll talk about that in greater detail. That's my buddy Jose.
And
Yeah.
and the point of that is if we do not document and tell our stories, there will be erasure. You cannot count on other people to tell your story.
Amen.
Because
That's why we
They don't know
created.
your perspective.
That's why we
That's why
created
Swerv
Swerv.
magazine
That's why we
is so
created Swerv.
important.
That's why we
Yes.
created Swerv.
I totally agree.
Yeah. All right. Y'all got
So
any other
important.
questions for what? Anything else going on?
No, I'm happily in
What else
love.
do you do?
I enjoy
Oh, you
my
in love?
Why I
Oh,
brought
that's
that up.
right.
Never mind. I don't even know
We
why.
got to get the spouse on because she's a filmmaker,
She's a-
right?
But can I
filmmaker.
just say
Yes.
say this to you? If many people don't know what I love about the fact that how a strong black woman you are, black queer woman, but I love the fact that your mother is this amazing woman,
She has
and
met
she
my
is
mother, yes.
this
Oh, yeah,
light in our
Dr.
community.
Dr. Reed.
Dr. Reed.
Dr.
yes,
Reed
yes.
is one of those women that
Shout
been
out to
on
Dr.
the
Clarice Reed.
Dr.
forefront
Reed.
and the foreline for so long. And what I love about it, she's so there. She's always around. She lifts you up. She
does come out with
inspires,
me a lot.
and she comes out and she
She's,
talks
I think,
to
86,
everyone.
87
Yes,
years
And
old.
she
Mother?
talks
Yes.
to everyone.
She does.
And she gives everyone that word of and making them feel so
Thank you for
important.
reminding me.
And
She's
Shout out
amazing.
my
But
mother.
you come from an
She's
accomplished gene pool because your sister is a judge,
Judge,
right?
Your
Yeah.
That's
mama's a
because-
doctor, your sister's a judge.
And father was a lawyer, but the point is,
work.
they did not accept anything
Anything less than
than
excellence.
giving your excellent, giving your best.
Gotcha.
My mother, I won't talk too long, but my mother, she may say I'm exaggerating, but she is responsible for NIH having a sickle cell program,
Really?
single-handedly.
Wow.
They wanted to give all the money, and this is probably some sort of slander, so I'll pull it back a little bit. I'm saying.
I hope you tell the story, though, one day.
But there was a lot of fighting over which disease was going to get the money. And they wanted to give the money to a lot of other diseases that affected a much smaller number of people. We'll just say it at that.
And they were different
And they
people.
were different people.
Mm-hmm.
They were different colored people. And she steadfastly showed the need for money for sickle cell and started all these sickle cell programs around the country.
Wow.
There's
Wow.
one right down the street across from Howard.
Right, Howard had one, right. Remember, we used to donate
Right,
to that
right.
when we were in high school. We used to donate to Howard's sickle cell program.
So if you know somebody who is alive with sickle cell,
Yeah.
trust me, they are they owe her a
They
debt of
benefited?
gratitude. They
Wow.
benefited.
They and their families.
And their families
Right.
because the government was not having it. The government was having no part of that. That was a disease that was only affected black people. Why are we putting money into this?
Right.
And so she had to fight for that. So watching that fight is what has instilled the fight in me for the marginalized, for the undervalued, and that is carried on to what I'm doing. And that fight is in my sister, who's a judge in Montgomery County.
In Montgomery
one of the
County,
only
right.
two black women.
Mocounty.
In Montgomery County.
The
Montgomery
only
County.
one of only two black women on the bench.
Wow.
So she is there and watching black people come into, the courtroom who may be assumed guilty based on their color.
Before they
and
even
so
walk
she's
in
there
the
trying to level the playing field. And so I'm very proud of that.
Come on, sister.
All of my family is doing whatever they need to be doing, but we're all doing it with a ferocious spirit because that was what was instilled
love
in us.
it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So my sister's a doctor in Atlanta. And
Oh,
my
wow.
brother has his own company in Silver
This is
Spring.
Spelman grad right here,
Spelman
y'all.
grad. Woo!
Yeah, Spelman.
All right. Anyways, enough about me. But I'm just saying, I had no choice but to work hard because that's what I saw, and I have no choice but to fight for the marginalized because that's what I saw. That's what my father did. That's what my mother did, and that's what my siblings do now. So it's not even option.
Wow. Now back to this love life.
We got 1 minute. We got no time for that. But when can we get the spouse on the show? Yes, Aisha.
She comes to town.
Hey, Aisha.
Come on.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Let's show some film.
Aisha Shahida Simmons is the director of No, the Rape documentary. And this came out, she's also celebrating our 25th anniversary. This was way before the Me Too movement, way before Surviving
Wow.
R. Kelly. She was
yeah,
talking
we-
about sexual assault in the black women community.
We need to speak with Aisha.
Yeah,
Well, Aisha, we're gonna have to bring you
We'll
on.
bring her on. We'll bring her on.
Yo, we're gonna have to go. We got 10 seconds, so I want to make sure we thank
Sheila,
Sheila,
you were
for
great.
joining
Oh,
us.
Thank you,
all for
Sheila.
having
Thank
And
you so much.
come out during DC Black Pride
Yes.
to her event May 26th.
May 24th and
May
25th.
24th.
And call my office. Let me give you the office number. I realize
the number?
Go ahead, give it out.
202
202
727
727
9493.
9493.
We're in the
All right.
Reeves Center, 14th and U on the second floor. Just if you need us, call us.
All right.
Call
All right, y'all.
me
Well, thank you for joining the
tomorrow.
Swerve Show. And look out for our May, June issue featuring Rasan.
Thank you for having me.
Patterson.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Appreciate you. Ah.
And we're going to do this on the regular. All right, y'all. All
Thank
right.
you, everybody.
Good
Bye-bye.
night. Good night.
Night, peace and
Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Oh.